Imagine a camper that soaks up sunlight to power itself, shuffles electricity between two separate batteries on its own, and can be driven with nothing more than a regular car license. Yet online forums are still arguing over whether any of that actually holds up. We're walking through the whole rig today, then digging into the hard numbers to find out. This is the Wanaka BYD T5-DM. Wanaka is no newcomer. Over 2 decades of building flat-nosed motorhomes stands behind this one, and here they've paired that experience with BYD's T5-DM platform. Yes, that BYD, now the biggest EV maker on the planet, ahead of even Tesla. Trim level decides the price tag. The Base Pro sits around $65,000, while the Pro Max, which adds the powered slide-out we'll get to shortly, lands somewhere between $65,000 and $69,000 depending on how it's optioned. Hold that number in mind because there's a lot riding on whether what's packed inside earns that price or undercuts it. Underneath it all sits a 55.4 kilowatt-hour BYD Blade battery, a chemistry known for being both safer and more energy-dense than most rivals, working alongside a 1.5-liter turbocharged hybrid engine that uses Miller cycle combustion to hit close to 41% thermal efficiency. The manufacturer's own figures put electric-only range at roughly 93 miles, stretching to nearly 500 miles once the combustion engine joins in. Wanaka didn't stop at the chassis pack, though. They fitted a separate 14.3 kilowatt-hour battery dedicated entirely to the living quarters, then engineered a 2-way charging system that lets the pair share power. The chassis tops up the house battery when it's running low, and the house side can return the favor when the chassis needs a boost. It's a self-contained energy exchange few other builders have managed to pull off. On paper, a DC fast charger can push the chassis battery from 20% up to 90% in as little as 20 minutes. Though, as we'll cover later, real-world charging hasn't always lined up neatly with that claim. Also worth flagging, in its home market, this is registered and plated as a passenger vehicle rather than a truck, meaning a standard license covers it, holiday toll charges don't apply, and it dodges the inner-city restrictions that usually catch truck-based RVs. Let's start outside. Up front, the fascia is molded as a single piece of fiberglass rather than several panels bolted together, giving it a smooth, rounded look that flows straight off the top of the cab. One detail that's easy to miss: a purpose-built drip channel molded into that front section, designed to steer overnight condensation and rain away from the windshield instead of letting it fog up right when visibility matters most. Something most RV owners just learn to live with. Because the BYD platform is naturally narrower up front and widens toward the rear, Wanaka leaned into that shape rather than disguising it. Mirrors painted white to broaden the visual nose, an aero-style front panel echoing the headlight shape, and a mix of horizontal and vertical lines that make the front end look deliberately squared off rather than uneven. Along the body, fiberglass skirting sits over an aluminum alloy skeleton, finished with a sprayed-on protective layer near the bottom to fend off gravel, branches, and general road grime. The windows sit noticeably higher than you'd normally expect, partly styling, but mostly a deliberate call for privacy and a bit of extra security when they're cracked open overnight. Wanaka's signature paneling also carries forward into the cab section itself, adding insulation in a spot many builders leave bare. Working front to back on the passenger side, the main entry door, a hatch for emptying the toilet cassette without ever stepping inside, then the fresh water fill point. Further along is where Wanaka really shows off. A pass-through storage bay, roomy enough that one owner fit 10 suitcases in side by side with an LED strip built in for loading after dark. A manually operated awning, also lit with its own LED strip, runs the length of this side. Flip to the driver's side, and that same bay opens from the opposite end too. Handy for sliding in longer gear like skis or fishing rods, alongside the shore power hookup and the chassis battery charging ports. The Pro Max trim adds an electric slide-out on this same side, built around a reinforced triple-rack steel frame and topped with its own weatherproof awning. And before we head inside, the roof deserves attention on its own. 2,370 watts of solar coverage, somewhere between 6 and 12 times what a typical Class B motorhome carries. It's mounted with a gap underneath to stop it from overheating, and in strong sun, it can generate over a kilowatt of charging power. Enough, according to real owners, to keep the fridge, lighting, and AC running for days, sometimes a full week, without ever plugging in. That covers the outside. Let's go in. Step inside, and the first thing you'll notice is there's no awkward step up. The cab floor and the living space sit almost flush, so on some configurations you can walk straight from the driver's seat into the back with either a curtain or Wanaka's own fold-out door, complete with built-in steps, providing separation and better insulation. Just above the entry sits the control panel. One screen managing the 4 camera angles, climate, battery levels, lighting, and on the Pro Max, the slide-out itself. Nothing to hunt for. Above the cab is Sleeping Zone 1, a bed stretching roughly 7 feet 3 inches, plenty for 2 adults, with storage drawers built into the headboard, windows on both sides for airflow, reading lamps, and USB ports worked right into the frame. A privacy curtain closes it off from the main cabin, which also helps keep conditioned air contained to whichever zone actually needs it. Down below, the lounge seats, as many as 6 across a combined sofa and dinette setup, complete with integrated seat belts and curved lumbar supportive backs. The central table folds down into a child-sized bed when it's needed. Overhead, cabinets with built-in LED lighting run the length of the ceiling, and the seating itself has extra outlets and cup holders worked in. The kitchen stretches along one wall. A slide-out counter adds prep space when needed, the faucet pulls out for flexibility, and a side-mounted range hood is positioned specifically to draw cooking smells out before they spread through the cabin. There's no gas burner here. Cooking is fully electric, backed by a built-in microwave for anything quick. Opposite it sits a fridge-freezer combo holding around 230 liters, call it 8 cubic feet, bigger than what you'd find in plenty of apartments, with separate zones for cooling and freezing. Built into this same area is a ducted air conditioning system that solves a problem nearly every overhead bed camper runs into: hot air rising and settling right where you sleep. Instead of one generic vent, this system channels cold air toward the front bed first, turning what's usually the warmest corner of an RV into the coolest one here. The back of the coach holds the second full-size bed, similar dimensions to the one up front, but this time you climb straight in. No ladder needed, which genuinely helps older travelers or anyone with young kids along. Around it, storage gets serious. A full-height wardrobe with sliding doors, plus a hidden compartment tucked behind one of those panels for anything valuable. Some configurations tuck a washer-dryer combo underneath this bed too. Small detail, but it means never having to track down a laundromat mid-trip. The bathroom sits at the very back, and it feels bigger inside than the outside dimensions would suggest. Genuinely enough room to move around comfortably. Inside, a rotating cassette toilet, an integrated shower with adjustable temperature, a ceiling vent handling both moisture and lighting, plus dual floor drains and a sloped entry, so water stays where it belongs. Honestly, this is one of the more complete layouts we've come across in a motorhome this size. 3 distinct sleeping zones, a full kitchen, a real bathroom, and none of it feels squeezed. Would a built-in washer-dryer actually change how you'd use a rig like this, or is it more of a nice extra? Drop your take in the comments. Now, the part a lot of you have been waiting for. Ever since this launched, owners online have been split. Some reporting fuel use north of 20 liters per 100 kilometers, others claiming barely half that, plus wildly different stories about real electric range, some saying 500 kilometers, others claiming 1,000. After putting roughly 1,500 kilometers of real-world driving into the data, here's what actually shows up. Fuel consumption sits around 18 liters per 100 kilometers under typical use, climbing to 20 to 21 liters per 100 kilometers if the battery drops into a forced low-power conservation state. Combined range, electric plus fuel together, works out closer to 700 kilometers, short of what the manufacturer advertises, but well past the more pessimistic 500-kilometer claims floating around online. Here's the detail most coverage skips entirely. The chassis battery never actually taps its full 55.4 kilowatt-hours on a normal day. To protect long-term health, the system keeps it cycling in a band roughly between 40% and 18% charge, meaning only about 12 kilowatt-hours is genuinely available before the gas engine steps in to protect what's left. That's exactly why Wanaka backs it up with that separate 14.3 kilowatt-hour house battery and the 2,380-watt solar array. Strip those away, and you'd be working with a far smaller day-to-day buffer than the headline battery figure suggests. So, does knowing that change your take on it, or does the extra battery and solar setup make up for it, given how you'd actually use something like this? Let me know down below. Between a self-balancing dual battery setup, nearly 2,400 watts of solar, 3 separate sleeping zones, a complete kitchen, and a bathroom that actually feels usable, the Wanaka BYD T5-DM might be the most technically ambitious motorhome currently on the road, real-world quirks and all. If you want to see how this stacks up against the next wave of campers before they land in your own market, hit subscribe. This is exactly the kind of build we break down regularly. And once more, now that you've seen the real numbers, has your opinion of it shifted at all? Let me know in the comments.